Hello everyone, welcome to Reacting Reddit, where real humans react and read Reddit content. Today I picked the Ask Reddit post. What is the most heavily reposted unpopular opinions you've seen? Actually, this isn't from Ask Reddit. This is from the subreddit Unpopular Opinions, which is cool. I'm starting to delve into all the different Reddits, and there's a lot of them. Did you know there's one specifically for people who feel like their opinions are unpopular and not agreed with? That's kind of cool, isn't it? Let's get into it. This is by Cibre 2001. Well, the whole thread's by that person. This comment is by Flip86. And they say, I see this one all the time. Poor people shouldn't have kids. Also, summer sucks. I can't wait till winter. Saw that one 3 to 4 times a day over the summer. Isn't that funny how like all summer people complain about winter or it not being winter? And then all winter people complain about it not being summer. And ultimately, no matter what's happening, you can find somebody who's currently complaining about what was happening before that they were complaining about, right? It's pretty classic. And like, poor people shouldn't have kids is tough, because it is arguable that if you're not able to provide for a child, then yeah, you're probably better off not having that child. But that doesn't mean that, okay, not everything's planned, life isn't planned. A lot of people end up with kids, and like, what do you do if you're a poor person, you have a kid, and what, some rich person tells you poor people shouldn't have kids? You already have a kid, so what now? You know, that's just an ideal. This person's username is lmao. Don't worry, winter's coming. So now you'll get the same people saying winter sucks. I can't wait till summer. Sorry in advance. Pantheon Winder says, things about not liking or wanting children. That seems to be a weirdly popular on Reddit in general. I definitely, as a young person, or as like a millennial, I guess, more people I know in my generation kind of strongly aversely don't like the idea of kids. I mean, I'm also kind of a fringe society person, so maybe that's not entirely accurate for most people, but I can definitely say that most of the people I know, like, I'm one of the more positive people I know about children and wanting to have a kid at some point. Most of my friends aren't like that. Absolutely not. So I don't know if that's just a popular thing on Reddit, or if it's popular with young people, or just popular with people I know. I will also say that these people that I know who have these opinions, most of them went through some kind of divorce. Divorce is really common in the social groups I was part of. Like, and the people that I knew in the US, the divorce rate for their parents was around 50%. That's not the nation's rate, so that means the people I knew had a higher rate of divorce, right? And I think that's just kind of because, like, the kids of parents or the kids of families who are having, like, troubles and stuff are kind of drawn to each other in some ways, you know, because stuff's going wrong, whereas with other people, other kids, like, their parents are still happy and in love with each other and alive, and I don't know, it just makes your life different if your parents are both alive or in love. Like, it's way different, right? So you shouldn't be too mad at young people who are resentful towards children, because for a lot of them, and for a lot of us, it's that we saw so much pain just in families and people not being ready, or people living through their kids, and in a lot of cases they would have been better off like waiting, you know, or like I know plenty of people who went through a lot of pain and trauma that like just wouldn't have happened if the parents had been more ready or had waited a couple more years. So yeah, things aren't that simple, right? The Ben Nation says, I mean, it's Reddit after all. Most users couldn't have kids even if they tried. Slashco80 says, That hasn't that hasn't really been my experience. Outside of specific subs like childfree, mentioning you don't want kids will get you of a combination of you'll change your mind when you're older, I love my kids and they make my life worth living, and you couldn't get laid anyway, lol, replies. So this person is arguing with the other commenter saying that Reddit didn't like, or commenters on Reddit seem to not like kids. And this guy's like, that's not true. They either troll you and say you couldn't get laid, you couldn't have sex, you couldn't make a kid, or they're like, I love my kids and they make life worth living. Which is funny. That's a good response. Caesar the Sanchez says, I really despise this aspect of Reddit. A lot of them come off as, I hate kids, but I love animals. Eat shit. Unless, I simply don't wish for kids, but if you want them, go ahead. Yeah, people get intense. That's kind of what the internet does, though, and it's important to understand that as readers of people's comments, we tend to exaggerate them as well. Like, so they get amplified. The person may just type something and they're like, this is kind of funny, I kind of feel this way. And then we read that and then it's like cue dramatic music. We're slowly like, oh my God. Oh, and you get so embellished in it and it ends up taking on a whole new meaning that the original poster had no intention of and has no idea what you're thinking or where you got it from, So it's pretty funny. Vast Zookeeper Game 42 says, people will get really fanatical about it. I don't want kids ever, but the child-free sub scares me. Regarding what is the most heavily reposted unpopular opinion you've seen, Cherrymus says, the occasional Tangled is better than Frozen. What? Which gets 200,000 upvotes every 2 weeks. Oh, man. I guess this person really, really, really likes Frozen or really, really hates Tangled. I've seen Frozen and I haven't seen Tangled. And I can say that I've heard a lot more music and memes from Frozen than Tangled. Like you hear people singing the songs from Frozen. So I don't know what that means, but sounds like this person really likes their opinion. Apple Park 5 says, I know this isn't related, but I read that list, and they did you bunch of clowns dirty. Just his name against his suggestion made me think he was for it or posts a lot. Made me laugh. Roundy Yum says, people want to normalize a lot of things in this sub. Those posts made me hate the word so much. Mongulation says, all the time, just you can do it yourself if you like it so much. It's essentially saying, I like this, so everyone else should too. Clear Mind says, in my experience, this sub hates normalizing things and very much prefers conservative traditions. Same. Well, yeah. Oh, Inky Mate says same. Well, yeah, people are entitled to their own opinions. Some of these just seem way too wrong to normalize, and it bugs me a lot, especially all the woman, kids, and creepy stuff. I really don't like saying my opinion on this sub because no matter what I say, I can't please everyone. Even when I try to be as objective and understanding of others' opinions and the thing that I'm agreeing or disagreeing with, there will be someone writing a passive-aggressive response. This doesn't happen all the time, but it's definitely there. I feel like I want to try and understand someone's point on this sub. I can't sometimes because it might be so creepy or it's normalizing something messed up. Well, yeah, that's the way of the internet, unfortunately. When you put yourself out there or you share any kind of opinion, it's important to understand that there's a ton of different ways people are going to be consuming that content that you shared. And one of them is that they will look at it, they will have a judgment about what it's about, they will watch it for 3 or 4 seconds and confirm that judgment that they had, and then they will pause the video and angrily post you about the things you made in the judgment of your video in their own head. And they won't actually spend time trying to understand anything. And that's normal. That's how most comments are. And if you treat them as more than that, like if you think that somebody really important who's really like in a good place in their life and really balanced is getting online and writing this about your YouTube video or whatever and is taking the time to do it properly, that's not what happens. Like, that's really not what happens. A lot of this stuff is also just like 8-year-old kids. Like, you literally have no idea what comments and stuff are. So it is true that you should expect that people are going to just be aggressive and passive aggressive and dislike stuff. And sometimes you're going to produce content, and at first more people are going to dislike it than like it and stuff. But over time, you'll see that as content reaches more and more people, it averages out, and it tends to get a more positive response. Eric the Nord says, I don't like, he's saying his favorite, most unpopular opinion. I don't like holidays, I don't like trees, I don't like cheese, I don't like cars, I don't like nature, I don't like God, I don't like people, I don't like animals, I hate everything, except for money. I like it more when they share the opinion that they don't like and why they don't like it, but so far we haven't had a single person who's done both of those. It's kind of like how when people text, if you ask multiple questions, people will just pick one and then answer it. Nobody answers all the questions you ask. It's funny. Angry Bathrobe says, you forgot some real winners. Death penalty, good. We should harvest organs from dead people. Assisted suicide, good. And the absolute king, twerking, ugly, and bad. What? I feel like that whole post was just to end with a twist on saying twerking is sexy. Now, it's already, you always wonder, was this person trying to be profound with the first three things? Do they actually believe in the first three things they said? Or are they just trolling? It's Reddit, so I guess you always assume they're just trolling, right? Zach J. Bryson says, I think we should vote to find a winner. Oh gosh. All of a sudden story says, the winner is actually missing from the list. It's along the lines of, this flavor is better than that flavor. Gets posted 8 times each hour with just different flavors. Lobster is better than crab. Caramel is better than chocolate. Mustard is better than ketchup. Nuts taste terrible. These are all actual posts I saw last night before I went to bed. There were other things last night. I can't even recall. This guy's last night sounds like a Kesha story. Or a Kesha song. He's got a really good point, though. And you kind of notice that if you, studying complaining is really good. Because it really makes you kind of aware of all of the trends, basically, of complaining. And you can see patterns, right? And this guy pointed out a pattern. He's like, yeah, people like to complain by disagreeing about what tastes better than other things. And yeah, any human could be like, wait, but isn't taste altered by the human's experience? And ultimately, isn't your perception of every flavor different than another person's perception of that same flavor because you've had a different life and different experiences and eaten other food? And you could be like, yeah, that's totally true, but they don't give a crap about that part. They don't care at all. They just want to be like, this is the best flavor. They want to fight. It's kind of like patriotism, thinking that your country is better than other countries. You're better than another human on another country just because you were born in the country you're born in. So you're better than someone else. It's dumb, super dumb. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to argue about it. People love arguing, and they're going to argue all the time. Altho King says, people don't seem to get that. Just because something's popular doesn't mean hating that thing is unpopular. Valid point. Yeah. It actually almost means that if something's popular, then a lot of people are going to have an opinion where they hate it. Definitely. Oh, I agree with this one. Hard Pills to Swallow says, Star Wars is overrated. Comes up quite often. That's ridiculous. I love Star Wars. You might be able to argue that Disney Star Wars is a bit overrated, but I don't know. It depends on how you feel about George Lucas and stuff. For me personally, I've watched like most of the Star Wars content. I loved like Clone Wars and all that. And I definitely really hate how they made Luke like give up on everything. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I guess maybe it's kind of to then have other characters come in and play the roles that Luke was supposed to, but it puts this kind of dark twist into it that, I don't know, it doesn't feel so sweet. Oh Ye Men says, I mean, that is their opinion. It isn't that popular, so they want to post it here. It's just that many people want to go for Star Wars because its fan base is so fractured. It's just better to upvote the others than to post. Everything is creepy says, I like sleeping with socks on. I like drinking flat soda. Cold beer is better than hot. The new Google logos are garbage. The friend zone doesn't exist. That's funny. I think that's true. I don't think the friend zone exists. It's like in a given moment, yeah, you could say that if you froze time at this exact moment, you're like, yeah, these are the people who were in the friend zone. But life is like a constantly evolving thing, and like you never know what circumstances life is going to put you in, right? Like there's people whose like whole sexuality's changed because they went through trauma together, like that happened in war a lot, right? So like things happen, you know? Things definitely happen. Marianne says, do people actually post that the new Google logos suck here? Everyone hates them. What are the new Google okay, we're gonna go out of here for a second and see what the new Google logos are. New Google logos. Why do people hate what? I just thought they were just new logos. Well, they look like logos. I guess they're more googly. You can kind of tell across, they have more of a brand recognition now. Like you see how the ones on the bottom are all the new ones, the ones on the top are the old ones. So these ones, like before, it's you don't know that these are Google products by the way their icon looks. You just know that it is the Google product because that's that Google products icon. But designing wise, like it is good to have more congruity between your different products. So like someone here, you could show them the first two or the first three and then ask them to identify the other Google products and they could figure it out even if they'd never seen it before. But in the top, that isn't necessarily true. So like some philosophy, that kind of makes sense. I'm not saying they're the best logos, but it's like the flavor thing that earlier guy said. Like people can argue over whether you like or dislike a color or what your favorite color is or what your favorite food is or whatever, but it's really arbitrary stuff. And really, like, as long as the logo becomes the thing people associate with it, it's effective. So, yeah. Taylor Heat 321 says, the MCU comic book movies are overrated. Posts, please need to go away. Nobody cares how much you hate them because they aren't real film. If you can't understand or need an explanation why they're so popular, you may need to do some other research. I wonder what kind of research. I would love to know. That'd be cool. People like saying anything popular is overrated, and they don't like learning about why people really understand stuff. People aren't going to try and understand things. Special, cool, awesome people do that, but you can't expect that people are going to try and understand you or try and understand why you made a video or wrote a post. Like, you should expect that maybe 1 in 10 people who reads your content or your comment is trying to understand you. And a lot of the others are just like trying to find something to disagree with. So it's hard, but don't get too frustrated about it. All right, everybody. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Leave a comment below letting me know a Reddit post that you'd like me to read. I'd love to read it. Let me know if you want something funny, want to learn about something, certain subject. You also don't have to say a Reddit post. You could say a subject that you want. Like if you want a video about dolphins or I don't know, anything. Just give it a shot. You can make me say some awkward, cringy stuff if you want. I'll do it. So if you want to make this kind of content, please reach out to us. We are looking for people who are interested in running YouTube channels where they record their screen and browse content and respond to it and add twists to it and react and try and make that kind of their own mod, their own mix, and make that into their video. So if you want to get in touch with us, please go to our YouTube channel, click on the About section, go to the bottom, do the business inquiry checkbox thing so you can do a CAPTCHA code and get our email address, and then say hello. We want to have a Zoom call with you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.